Great people, welcome to NameTech channel. My name is Nehemiah and I'm so happy to have you on board. So today we are going to begin a series on Django. But then guys, before we begin, please take a minute, subscribe, like and share the video to your friends if you have not done so. And to the returning subscribers, I really appreciate you very much for your continuous support. So without further ado, let's begin by first understanding what is Django. So basically Django is a very powerful and a popular Python web framework that make it easier to create websites using Python. And so basically, Python takes care of the basically Django takes care of the difficult stuff, so that you can just concentrate on building your web application in the few lines of code. But then, how does Django work? Basically, Django follows the MVT design pattern, that is model, view, a template, and a model. We are going to talk about these stuffs much deeper, but then in a nutshell, a model, that is the data that you want to present, usually data from database. And then a view, that's a request handler that returns the relevant template and content based on the request from the user. And then now the template, that's a text file, just like an HTML file containing the layout of the web page with logic on how to display the data. So let's begin by tackling the model. Now the model provides data from the database, and in Django, data is delivered as an object rational mapping, that is ORM, which is a technique designed to make it easier to work with databases. Now the most common way to extract data from the database is SQL. And one problem with SQL is that you have to have a pretty good knowledge of the database structure to be able to work with it. But then Django with ORM make it easier to communicate to the database without having to write a complex SQL statement. And then the models are usually located in the file called models.py. We are going to talk about these stuffs much deeper. Basically, we shall have the practical session. But then let me talk about these stuffs before we begin. Now the view. A view is a function or a method that takes HTTP request as an argument, imports the relevant models, and find out what data to send to the template, and returns the final results. The view are usually located in the files called view.py. We shall talk about these stuffs. But then let me talk about this view. But then for me, on my end, I always think basically on my front end perspective, I always tend to think that the view should be something that is visible to the clients or to the visitor. But then Django decided to give it a request handler, or a function or a method that takes HTTP requests. We shall talk about the networking later, but then HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So let me talk about these stuffs in this way. So for example, if you have a link somewhere, basically you want to navigate to the home page of a website or to the contact page or any other page. So basically when you click on that link, basically the link becomes triggered, and then it sends the request to the view sends the request to the server, and then the server processes the request and then find out the required results that you want. Basically, for example, if you requested the contact page, then it will find out the data that you want, then it will send it to the template or to you now, the clients, and then returns the results. And then we shall talk about these stuffs, but then for now, let's talk about the template now. A template is a file where you describe how the results should be represented. A template are often HTML files with the HTML code describing the layout of our web page. It can also be in another file format to present other results, but we shall concentrate on .html file, actually files with the extension .html. And then Django uses standard HTML to describe the layout, but uses Django to add the logic. So let me show you an example. Basically, guys, for example, this one is a HTML tag, but then you can see in this basically this is a h1 tag, but then you can see in this paragraph. Django it has added its tag to add some more logic on this HTML content. So templates of an application is located in a folder named templates. So basically, let me talk about the URLs. And the URL stand for Uniform Resource Locator. And talking about a resource can be something like a PDF, a video, an image, or any other document. So basically, Django also provides a way to navigate around the different pages in a website. Now, when a user requests a URL or a link, Django decides which view it will send it to it. And then this is done in a file called this one is done in a file called urls.py. We shall talk about this thing much deeper as we go on, but then let's understand the entire structure, or basically what is going on in this process. And so basically, when you have installed Django and created your first Django web application, the browser requests the URL. Then this one is basically what happens in that process. Now, the first one, Django received the URL, then I checks the url.py file, and then of course the view that matches the URL, and then the view located in views.py checks for the relevant models, and then the models are imported from the models.py file, and then the view sends the data to the specified templates in the template folder. And then guys, basically the template contains the HTML in the Django tags, and with the data it returns a finished HTML content back to the browser, so that the visitors can see. So guys, basically you can always find the reference to this tutorial on the Nametech website. Basically, if you want perhaps to find Django, just type nametech.com, then /Django, then you're going to have access to the Django tutorials. But then because I'm teaching here, let's just focus on the video part. But then guys, before anything, guys, basically before anything, you must do what? You must install what? The Django. But then before you install Django, you must have Python installed, and also the package manager like pip. So when you install Python from version 3.4 onwards, it usually comes with that package manager, that is pip. So for me, I already have Python, so I don't have to. You can see the latest version is 3.11.2. So basically, how do you check the version if you have that Python? So guys, once you have installed, and it will come also with the pip. So once you have it, just go to the command prompt, or whichever command line tool you have, perhaps terminal on your Mac operating system, or Linux, or Conda if you're working with Anaconda. But then for my Windows operating system, to check the version of my system, I'm gonna type in Python. I think this one applies the same to the to other operating system. I'm not sure, but then you can try it on your end. But then for my end, or you can try typing pi, then a hyphen, and then type in a version. Type in a version if you're working in the Linux operating system or a Mac operating system. But since I'm working with the Windows operating system, let me type in Python. Let me type in Python. Then what I do, let me run. You can see my version is the latest one, which is you can see the match here. It is 3.11.2, basically 3.11.2. Now to check if you have that package manager, that is pip. I say that if you have a Python installed from version 3.4 onwards, it usually comes with this pip. But then if you want to confirm, or if you want to check, just type in pip, then double hyphens, and then type in version. Should be version like this. Then I click on enter, and then now you can see my version is for the pip. This package manager is 23.0.1. So guys, basically to create the virtual environment, navigate to where you want to create your project. Perhaps I want to create my projects. Let me just, or what I do, let me find a place where I want to create the project. Let me just use a desktop. So while you are here in this at the desktop, just type in cmd, cmd, then I click and enter. And then guys, what you do here, to create a virtual environment on the Windows operating system, and just type in py, then type in m, then type in vnv for virtual environment, vnv, and then type in the folder name that you want to give it. Perhaps let me give it a name tag. Let me give it a name tag. And then what I do, basically guys, this one is for the Windows operating system, but then for Unix or a Mac operating system, you just type in a Python, and then the other codes remain the same. Then what you do, click on enter. And then guys, basically this one will set up a virtual environment and create a folder name, name tag, because I will give it name tag. For on your end, it will be the name that you gave it. So let's try to check if you have that folder here. So guys, basically you can see that we have this folder here, name tag, and then it has 4 files here. They include, we also have the lib, we also have the scripts, then we also have the py vnv.cfg. So guys, basically you can see it automatically does what, creates those folders. And then guys, basically we have to activate this virtual environment by typing this command here. So basically what we do, let's type in what this command. So is here, let me do it. Let me type in first of all cmd here. Let me open the command prompt here, and then what we do, let's type in scripts, and then forward slash on the Windows operating system, basically backslash, not forward slash, and then type in activate dot bat on the Windows operating system, but then on the what, on the Linux or on the Linux or other operating system, just type in source and then the file name, then forward slash. This one use the forward slash bin, then forward slash, then activate. So for me, let me just click like this. Then guys, basically I've just done what, I've just activated this this virtual environment. That's why you can see we have the name tag in this C drive. Then this is the location where it is. And then guys, basically this is how you can do it. This is how you can create this a virtual environment. And then we have just activated this virtual environment. So once we have activated, you will see the results like this, the project name, and then basically the file name, then the folder name, then this URL, actually the file path. So guys, basically you must always activate the virtual environment every time you open the command prompt to work on your project. And then guys, basically now let's talk about on how to install the Django. So we have just created the virtual environment, we have just activated. So let's now talk about on how to install Django. So guys, basically now that we have created the virtual environment, we are ready to install a Django. Remember that you must always have a virtual environment to install Django, or you install Django while you are in the virtual environment. So guys, basically while you are here, basically using your PIP, typing this command basically on the Windows operating system, type in m, and then PIP, install what, sorry, it should begin with the pi, but then for Linux or a Mac operating system, just type in the full word Python. But then for our Windows operating system, just type in Python, and then forward slash, then m, and then type in PIP, install Django. Install Django, begins with the capital letter Django. Install Django, then click enter. So guys, basically when you have these codes on your terminal, then it means that you have successfully installed Django in your project running the virtual environment. So guys, basically to check the Django version, basically what you do, just type in Django, then hyphen admin, Django admin, then double. Basically, this one is for just typing this command Django underscore admin, and basically not underscore hyphen admin, and then this space, then hyphen, then version to check the basically to check the the version that you are using, the Django version that you are using. And then guys, basically you can see here the version is 4.1.7. So guys, basically now that we have just created the virtual environment, we activated it, we have just installed the Django. So basically guys, now that we have done all that, let's now try to create a Django project as we finalize this introduction part of this tutorial. So guys, basically once you have come up with a suitable name for your Django project, like mine, I can give it tutorials like this, as you can see here. So basically navigate to the file system where you want to store the code, most likely in the virtual environment. So basically I will navigate to this here, actually to this folder here, to this folder, and then what I do, let me first of all create my project. But then first of all, ensure that you are working on an activated virtual environment. And so what you do, just type in a script. Always ensure that you work on an activated virtual environment. So let me say script. You should always do these scripts, and then forward slash, backslash, not forward slash, scripts for actually for Windows operating system. Then B18, actually activate dot B18, and then run it to activate. And then guys, once you are there, what you do, type in this command on your terminal. Type in Django, and then hyphen admin, and then start project combined, then a space, and then the project name. I can give it perhaps tutorials. I can give it perhaps tutorials, or let me just say, this project, perhaps I can give it which name. I don't have a suitable name. Perhaps let me just say tutorials. But then for you can give it a precise name, a very very suitable name. But then for me, let me just say tutorials, and then what I do, click enter, and then guys, basically Django will create these tutorials a subfolder, basically folder on my computer, and then with the files inside it. These are files. So what I do, you can see guys, it has just created this folder here with these files. The first one is tutorials folder, another subfolder called tutorials, and then manage.py. Then in this tutorial we have other files like init_py. Then we have asgi.py, then settings.py, then urs.py, then wsgi.py. We will talk about these stuffs guys as we go on, but then in this introduction part, I don't want to explore much on you, or to give you much. So guys, basically what I've done here, I've just extracted that folder because it was repetitive. Because when you clicked on that tutorials part, it will direct you again to another sub folder called tutorial. So what I did, I just extracted and then added it to this folder. So once you are in this folder, guys, we have just created our project. So what we'll do here, let's try to run this project of ours in the server. Basically, we haven't added anything, but then just to see that it's working, let's try to open the server and see if it will work. So what you do, type in cmd at this project directory, cmd here the URL, cmd, then I click enter, and then I here first of all you must always activate, type in scripts, should be scripts, then a backslash, then activate. You must always activate for you to work on a project. Activate dot bat, and then click on enter. So guys, basically I've just activated it. So let's try to run these codes at this the server, or be it on Python, actually on Linux operating system, Mac OS system. You can just type in either py.manage or a Python, py or a Python, then a manage dot py, then run server. Sorry, should be run server like this. Then I click enter. So guys, basically you can see that we have just opened the server here, and basically you can see we have also the URL here. Basically you can copy, or what I do, guys, let me try to paste it here at the end, the terminal. Then I do it. Let me run, and then guys, basically you can see that it is Django, and you have installed the install work successfully. Congratulations. So guys, basically you can see that we have just started the first project. Actually, the project is now active when you see such results. So guys, basically this is all I wanted to show you in this introductory part of Django. So guys, please consider subscribing, like and share the video to your friends. Up next, we shall talk about other stuffs much deeper. So until next time, this is Nehemiah. Goodbye.